The haunting of Willow Creek Farm. Emma had always dreamed of living in the countryside, away from the noise and chaos of the city. So, when she found an old farmhouse for sale on the outskirts of a small town, it felt like destiny. Willow Creek Farm was beautiful in its isolation, surrounded by fields and forests as far as the eye could see. The locals warned her about the house, but Emma brushed it off as nothing more than superstition. The first few weeks were peaceful, with Emma settling into her new life, tending to the garden, and enjoying the quiet. But as autumn arrived and the days grew shorter, strange things started happening. It began with little things, footsteps in the hallway when no one was there, doors creaking open on their own, and the sound of distant voices whispering at night. One evening, as she was preparing for bed, Emma heard a soft knock at the door. She opened it to find an old woman standing on the porch, her weathered face pale and her eyes wide with fear. "You shouldn't be here," the woman whispered. "This place isn't safe." Emma asked her what she meant, but the old woman just shook her head and hurried away, disappearing into the woods. Confused and unsettled, Emma closed the door, trying to push the encounter from her mind. But that night, the noises grew louder. The soft whispers turned into full-blown conversations, as if a crowd of people were gathered in her living room. When she went to check, the room was empty. The footsteps upstairs became more insistent, like someone was pacing back and forth. Determined to get to the bottom of it, Emma began researching the history of Willow Creek Farm. She discovered that the house had been built over 150 years ago, and the original family had vanished mysteriously one night. The locals believed that their spirits still haunted the property, doomed to wander the house for eternity. One night, unable to sleep, Emma heard the unmistakable sound of a child's laughter echoing down the hall. She followed the sound, heart pounding, and found herself standing in front of a small, locked door she hadn't noticed before. The door was old and covered in dust, with deep scratches along its surface. With trembling hands, she turned the key she found hanging nearby and opened the door. Behind it was a small, hidden room, completely untouched by time. In the center of the room sat an old, wooden rocking chair, gently swaying back and forth on its own. The temperature dropped instantly, her breath visible in the air. Suddenly, the whispers became deafening, surrounding her from all sides. "Leave, now, before it's too late," they warned. Emma fled from the room, her heart racing. She packed her bags that night and left Willow Creek Farm, never looking back. The farmhouse sits abandoned to this day, but the locals say that if you listen closely at night, you can still hear the faint sounds of footsteps and whispers, carried on the wind from the haunted house on the hill.